Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Seas. Christine here, and I've got Colin with me as well.
Hello everybody, it has been a long time since we've done this, Behind the Seas, but it's also been a long time since we've had any new episodes on the Dynamic Leaders podcast, and I'll just jump straight into the fun news and let everybody know who doesn't already know via social media. I know not everybody follows me on social media, but Dynamic Leaders Podcast has been acquired by Blue Wire. They're a podcasting network. All that means is that we are now on a professional podcasting platform, should get more ears, should get more attention, will help us bring even stronger guests on in the future. But it's a really exciting acquisition for me. It's created a few additional opportunities that we might touch on through the course of our conversation today with Christine, but that is why there has been a little bit of a delay with episodes. The first new episode, in addition to this being a new episode, is going to be on Monday, July 26th, so this is coming out the Friday before, so you get a nice little treat behind the seas for episode 149, and then we have episode 150. Crazy. We already have more than 150 episodes. Some of them are bonus, but technically episode 150 is coming out on Monday, July 26th. It features Lauren Johnson, who is a mental performance coach with the Yankees and now does it on her own with many other organizations. So just sit back, enjoy this conversation, enjoy what's coming up, but wanted to get the exciting news out of the way, let people know where we've been and what we've been up to.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. So I figured, since it has been a while, we could start off with just updates on where we're at and talk about some of the interesting things that we have going on. So from an overall life perspective, since the last time we've spoken, I have moved into an operations role at my job and have gotten the opportunity to work on some really interesting projects. I have been in marketing for pretty much my entire career and have always been really interested in internal work culture, projects and processes, and having an impact on the people that I work with. So it's been really exciting to me to make this shift into operations. And one of the coolest projects I've gotten to work on so far is called Friday Recharge. So for the summer, when things tend to be a little slower for a lot of our retail clients, we have decided to give everyone Fridays off. And obviously a lot of work had to go into planning how we would have coverage in place in case anything happened and what communications would look like. So it ended up being a pretty deep project, but so far so good. And as we embark on this, I just keep reading different articles about the 4-day work week and how they're seeing a lot of success with it in other places. And I think what's extra exciting about this particular program is we're not working 4 10-hour days. We are just removing 1 day of work per week. And coming from a culture where people sometimes feel very pressured to be working all the time, this really forced a change for a lot of people to look more critically at the work that they're doing and focus on what moves the needle instead of spinning your wheels on all the other little things that can come up throughout the course of the day. So far feedback we've heard on the program is actually increased productivity, less stress, and overall a really good feeling, even from people who were not sure how this was going to work in a client service industry. We've had great success so far, so I'm super excited about that.
What do you think has been one of the biggest surprises of the whole process? Because I think that's really interesting, obviously, and there's probably a lot of people who are listening saying, wow, I wish I worked for Christine's company. How come my company doesn't do this? But what's been, good or bad, what's been one of the biggest surprises of this so far now that you've been almost 2 months in?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest surprises to me is that people actually are sticking to it and that we haven't had large fires come up. Even a couple instances within the business where people didn't give the entire team off on Fridays and had rotating coverage of someone on the team being online have been able to ease off of doing that because they realized by communicating that we're not working on Fridays and by still getting our work done to the extent that it needs to be done, we're not having fire drills come up for the most part on Fridays. So just the level of success we've seen in that regard is surprising to me, because it's a very scary thing to do. And from a business owner perspective, not that I am the business owner, but I'm sure it was a lot of fear in the minds of people at the helm of the business. And to have it be going off successfully, to find that people are feeling like, yeah, I actually don't even need to log on Fridays, that is a huge win to me.
Yeah, super cool. What about personal training? Of Sweat with Stods, can you tell us what's been going on?
Yeah, I'll give a Sweat with Stods update as well. So I started toward the end of last year, taking on individual training clients virtually. It was something that I was never sure I wanted to do. I had always been interested in kind of the business model of creating programs, and then people buy those programs as they want and perform them on their own. I wasn't super interested in the personal training side of things, because when I did it in person, it's just a lot of time, and you get into kind of the trading time for money model, which I want to be able to effectively help a lot of people, and I can't really do that if I am working a full-time job and then trying to meet with people in person multiple times a week. That just, the time runs out really quickly. So then with COVID happening and being able to take the business virtual and take people on one-on-one virtually, I've seen great success with it, especially because toward the end of last year, I also got my precision nutrition certification and expanded my business into nutrition training. So now I have multiple one-on-one clients. Some do just fitness training, some do nutrition training, and some do both. And it's been a really interesting, awesome ride. I absolutely love my clients. Sometimes it can be very challenging. There's a lot of emotional and mental things that come up in that kind of work. When you're trying to work on yourself in that way, a lot comes up about how you feel about yourself, and it's a lot to work through, but it's really rewarding work. It's really exciting. So I'm actually currently maxed out on clients and have a wait list going, because I need to take a little bit of time to establish how I can build some processes to allow my business to scale at this rate, because I pretty much just started taking people on one-on-one and then grew so quickly that I did everything kind of ad hoc, and I'm hitting a point where I need to stabilize that before I allow myself to take on anyone new, so that there's no drop in my level of service. And I know there's a ton of different programs out there that can help with that. So if you have any in mind that you've used, definitely reach out to me and let me know, as I'm in the research phase of different automations. But yeah, super excited about Sweat with Stods.
Yeah, awesome stuff. We'll put the Sweat with Stods handle in the show notes. Pretty easy to access. Check out what she's doing, get in touch, even though she is full right now. Moving toward that automation will open things up, and you never know what that future is going to hold. So at the very least, have a conversation with her. She's obviously doing a lot of really good stuff for a lot of good people. And I'll give a little bit work updates as well. So I'll start with the Leadership Academy. We have some exciting stuff happening in terms of this podcast. Obviously, a lot of new episodes, as I alluded to earlier on. I'm also in the process right now of working on a special podcast series that's going to address how to become a master of performing under pressure. I'm doing that with a current athlete who's a Division I field hockey player, and we'll get all those details out probably over the course of the next month or two, I would imagine. But that's an additional podcast mini-series that's going to be a part of the Dynamic Leaders podcast, and has been a lot of fun. My co-host and I, we've uncovered a lot, to say the least, and had some really great conversations. We've had a lot of input from current athletes, former athletes, current and former coaches, administrators, athletic directors, etc. So we've really been able to, I think, we've gotten a lot smarter in this process, and I think we are going to be able to help people in this. I think it's going to end up being a 6 or 7 episode mini-series. So be on the outlook for that in the near future. In addition, have some relationships with field hockey team softball team that are going to continue into the fall, do some more team culture work with them. So I'll hopefully have some exciting things to share, developments and all those related aspects as that starts to go on. Both of them are going to start up in August when things start up again. So that's coming pretty quickly.
That's pretty exciting to hear, because a lot of the discussions we were having last year were around, navigating athletics in a COVID world when people couldn't even play and budgets were getting slashed across the board because people didn't know what to expect. So to be having that momentum as the world kind of picks back up, I think is awesome.
Yeah, and it's still difficult and tough. I mean, the biggest change is that for the most part we can all be in person again, right? I mean, there's still that lingering COVID, there's the Delta variant out there, but for the most part things have stabilized in terms of being able to at least get back out onto the field, have a regular schedule, etc. Budgets are, I'm guessing, still recovering, but the nice thing is, kind of like I mean, these are Sweat with Stods and the Leadership Academy, these are our side things, so we can afford to be picky, we can afford to give as great a service as we're capable of, and not overexert ourselves. And so it's not like I needed things to like go crazy, because fortunately I have another career, and that career helps pay the bills and allows us to do some of these more fun ventures on the side and in our free time, I guess.
Yeah, which I do love, and I just want to say that people probably hear this and think like we're crazy for doing full-time jobs, but also having like passion projects that we work on, and also our businesses that make money. But I think what's really interesting about us doing this is that we both love what we do full-time too, and like personally I feel the most fulfilled by having both. I think I would feel like something was missing without one or the other right now, personally. So on that note, I would love to hear about your full-time job as well.
Yeah, and I'll say before I get into that, I think one of the biggest areas of growth I've had as an individual is like getting rid of this entrepreneurial fraud, where like when I first started my business, I just thought in order to be someone who could be influential and be really successful, however you measure that you needed to go full in on your business. And I tried so hard to make that work that I think I kind of burned myself out, and ultimately led me to, I'm at a really good point right now with things. I'm happy with it. I'm happy in my other career, which I'll get into here in just a second. But I think overcoming that, as I told you a few weeks ago or a few months ago, whenever I came to that realization, was a really big step forward for me, just to say I'm going to make the best of what I can with the Leadership Academy, the podcast, the book, anything else that comes associated with that. But I'm also going to pour myself into my career in recruiting in HR, which I am just starting this week, a brand new opportunity with a remote startup called Snappy Kraken. Their main product and what they do for people and their clients is they do marketing automation for financial advisors. So modernizing an industry that even before I joined this company I thought was far behind the times in terms of the way that they try to help people. And financial advisors, because they are a little bit behind, they get a bad rap, and nobody ever wants to talk about retirement or life insurance, some of these conversations that are either difficult or seem far off into the future. But there are a lot of people that do want to have these conversations, and the automation piece, I think, can really help just align financial advisors with having the right conversations with the right people. And so it's a cool product. The company seems incredible, leadership all the way down to every single employee there. So I'm super excited. This recording on Sunday before my actual first day, but I'm super excited to get started. Opportunity came from a job I didn't get. So I always tell people, put your best self out there every single time, show up. and you never know who's listening, who's watching. I mean, I got a really amazing job and opportunity because I did really well, not well enough for a particular position that I was interviewing for, but well enough to impress somebody to introduce me to someone, and that ended up leading to probably the best job opportunity I've ever had in my career to this point. And it's going to be cool. We have some critical needs to fill, so if you are at all interested in working for a startup, go to snappykraken.com/careers. I'll put that in the show notes as well. We can have a conversation and go from there. But also in the future, I'm going to have an opportunity to build out the department, and we'll have more recruiters and a bigger team and things like that. And so from like the development side and the culture side, everything that I do with the Leadership Academy, that was a really enticing piece too, is to know that eventually we're working toward me having my own team. And however big that's going to be in the future, I guess it's going to be dependent on how fast we grow. But acquisition is the goal in the future. Seems like a really great company, and I am definitely excited to be with a company where the leadership is so strong that I can really get behind it and believe in it. The product, I think, like I said, speaks for itself, and it's been a long time since I've had both of those things align with my career. And so I don't know, I can't say enough good things about it, but I am really excited.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting just to reflect back on our journeys a little bit. And, sometimes when I get caught up in the frustrations of day-to-day work, even in a job that I love, there's always going to be frustrations. And sometimes I'm like, why do I have to deal with that? And then if I take one step back and take a look at the journey that we've had, when we met, we were working in retail together, living pretty much paycheck to paycheck, no savings, not great savings or anything like that. We weren't going on vacations. We were just getting by. We weren't really in very fulfilling careers. And then over the years, being able to grow into being at places that we both love while still feeling passionate enough about our own ventures to start them and see success with them. It is wild when you step back and look at the journey, and that's what it's all about. So
yeah, I mean, it's especially wild when you think about these past 15, 16 months, and to go from me being laid off in August to now having this incredible full-time opportunity and having some really great opportunities with the Leadership Academy, in addition to, the podcast has always been fun, but now being a professional podcast partner and platform, and the book still kind of paving its own way. Like, if you would have told me that when I got laid off in August last year, I don't know that I would have been able to see that path. And that path wasn't really there until a few months ago, a couple months ago, when things started turning around. So it is pretty cool though. And it's I remember Ryan Hawk on one of the previous episodes of this podcast telling me one of the biggest difference between people who are successful and not is that they stick to what they're trying to do. And I had many opportunities to get out of recruiting, which is my main responsibility in HR, because people weren't hiring, so they weren't really looking for recruiters. But I love it because I like the people aspect of everything, and so I just kept trying to get a good job, and did another contract to kind of bridge things until I found this current opportunity with Snappy Kraken. And I think it's that sticking with the podcast to go from 100 downloads like in August of 2018 to we're projected to have close to 4,000 5,000 downloads come August of this year, which will be our 4-year anniversary. So a lot of hard work goes in between all of that, and I don't think we do a good job of telling that or telling about the setbacks and how we recover and everything. But it hasn't been a straight line to this happiness and success, but
not at all.
Yeah, I think having you, has been the biggest constant in the way that has helped me stay sane and confident. Even when I was at my lowest points and everything. So, that's probably the biggest attribution I can give toward it all, is to say thank you for being supportive and helping get things back on track, and we have super bright future at this point.
Well, the thanks goes to you too from me, because you know that when we met, I was not super driven to be doing a very successful job. I would have been totally content with just living it up and working in the same role and like just doing my thing. And then you inspired me to want to be better and push myself, and I ended up getting promoted very quickly at work, a lot due to you really pushing me to show up as my best self. And then I never would have started Sweat with Stods without seeing you start Talent 409 and everything that's come since. So you really helped me tap into my full potential too, which is awesome. I'll never forget the feeling of watching you just do things, whereas I thought, like, I just was waiting for permission my whole life. I was like, who told you that you could start a company? Like, who told you that you could write a book and sell it? Like, who came to you and asked you for those things? And it's like, no one. You can just do these things. And that was a huge realization for me, and has made my life what it is. So thank you too. Love having you as a partner. So let's talk about some of those exciting things coming up in the future. This one is a little bittersweet, but Stella's first birthday is coming up in a couple weeks, which is insane. And I'm very excited.
It'll be less than a week by the time this episode airs.
I'm very excited, but I'm also like, wow, where did the time go? It's been an amazing year, especially getting to be home with her. That has been huge. That's time, if COVID had never happened, this is time that I never would have gotten with her. I would have been in the office every day, getting home after 5, her going to bed around 6, just never would have gotten nearly as much time with her as I have. So I'm forever grateful for that. But I'm excited too for her upcoming birthday party. She's going to have people coming over. We're going to have cake, food, drinks, and obviously presents. We got her some cool stuff like a California beach coat tent, which seems like it might be a little late on when we got it, but if we ever have other kids, they'll be able to use it too, even if she can only be contained for a few months. And it'll be huge when we go to the beach, I think. So excited for that. I got her a little bike, and then you got her some exciting things too.
Yeah, couple books, Cat in the Hat, the classic. Got her first softball card, Cat Osterman. So Cat, I'll tag you in a Twitter post, and you'll probably see it because you do respond to most fans. So she'll be excited about that. Got her hasn't come yet. I was hoping to have it set up in here ready with a blanket over it, ready to go. But got her little basketball hoop too. Hopefully it'll be here in the next day or so. But just tried to do some educational things, do some active things for her as well. I mean, she's already got a ton of toys, and I'm sure she's got a ton coming from family and whatnot. But she's she's great.
Really fun
she's
stage.
Growing.
She's very active. She's all over the place, exploring everything, which is really fun. She's like babbling a lot. She can say mama and dada with meaning, which is really exciting. So absolutely loving this. Definitely the type of person who realizes I like the older that the babies get. Newborn stage is nice because they're really cute and sleepy, but man, like looking back, I was definitely not well, and I appreciate now how she reacts to things that I do, whereas in those days, like, they just don't do that much. Super cute, but glad that stage is really only 4 months, so yeah. I mean, she'll be walking any day. She's getting real close to that, and I don't know. And this is why, when we were talking about earlier, I mean, I basically have 3 buckets in my life, and the first bucket is my full-time career, recruiting, HR. My second bucket is the Leadership Academy, but my third bucket is the one that, so this isn't like an order of importance, it's the one that means the most to me, and it's also the most dynamic of them all. Like, there's many buckets within this big bucket, like my relationship with you, my parents, my brothers,
time, my relationship with Stella, and like, it's important to like kind of have those boundaries to me, and but also like have an understanding that like those three things are really important to me. I mean, my career is important because it allows us to do a lot of the things we want to do in our personal life. The business is important to me because I really want to help athletes, and I get a lot of energy out of that. And obviously my personal life, I love spending time with you guys and want to go on vacations and want to retire at a decent age and be able to enjoy life even more and not have to work forever. So it's I don't know if it's so much a reflection, because I'm a parent now, but I don't know. I feel like COVID and being a parent, and I've just been able to like slow things down, and I don't know if I was like as good in the past about like the big picture. I was just so much more like in the moment, like day to day tasks, checking off things, and now I have, our financial future is pretty secure right now. We have some things working for us, and I think we're, for being 32 and 30, in a really excellent spot. We've got Stella set up financially. We've got vacations in the future. We've got just a lot of really exciting things from a personal standpoint too. And I think just meshing that with everything that we've already talked about, it's all good.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear you talk about the buckets too, because when I did my precision nutrition certification, one of the things that like stuck out to me the most is how they coach you for deep health, which I can't remember the 6 facets of deep health, but there's like your physical health is one of them, your mental health, your emotional health, environmental, and then there's at least a couple more, I think, like spiritual or something. But when I think about the different buckets of life and how they apply to things, like that's one of the lenses that I've evaluated my life on. And it's funny to hear you say there's like 3 buckets and some mini buckets, because I'm like, my personal health and well-being is really high on mine, obviously. My work I find very rewarding and fulfilling, so that is high. My family, huge, very important, but also like fun is a huge category for me. So making sure that we're going out and doing social things, trying new places in Charlotte, hanging out at the pool with our friends like we did yesterday, and then like traveling and seeing the world. So booking a vacation to Mexico like we did for February. That all of that does add up, and they're all really important pieces of the life that we have. So
we're going to Mexico?
Yeah, we're going to Mexico. We are going to Mexico in February, which will be crazy because we've never left Stella for that duration of time, but got to have some mom and dad time. So we're going to go back to our honeymoon spot in February, and Stella will hang out with her grandparents for a week. So it'll be fun all around for everyone. It'll be much easier to leave her now that I'm almost done breastfeeding her, because that would have been the ultimate challenge before. And obviously COVID was a huge challenge prior, but we're fully vaccinated. People are traveling again. We need some time away.
Yep. And worst case scenario is we get refunded for the money if there's some type of outbreak, but I don't think that's going to happen. And so I'm definitely excited. It's first vacation that we've taken since October of 2019. So we still have some time, but it's on the books. We are ready to go.
We've taken vacations, but a lot of them have been to your parents' beach house, which, like I said, when you booked that for our like baby moon and for my 30th birthday, I was like, we always go here, which is amazing. I love having it, but I'm ready to go on like a vacation somewhere else, even though I picked somewhere that we've been before.
Yeah, and like the baby moon, for example, you didn't work that whole week. I did.
Yeah.
So I haven't, I guess, is a better way of saying it, taken a vacation, a full, like, away from work and all of that since October of 2019, mostly because of COVID. But, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope Diego is still working there, and I'm going to have a lot of fun at that pool bar, I think.
Yeah. And ultimately we decided to go back to the place we have been before, because we've had a not so great all-inclusive experience, and we've had an excellent all-inclusive experience at Excellence. And so I went to look up all-inclusive trips because if we're going to do an adventure type trip, like Stella can come with us or future kids and whatnot, that I'm more apt to bring kids on something like that than I am to have like a fully relaxing vacation. Obviously, I'm not bringing kids to an adults-only resort. So when I went online to look at TripAdvisor's recommended all-inclusives, Excellence Playa Mujeres is still right at the top. So booked it again because, why mess with perfection?
I'm on board.
Yep.
Put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it. That's what we got. All right. Well, on that note, anything else you wanted to share?
I'm good.
I think we covered some historical, some current, and some future. So, exciting stuff.
New episode, Dynamic Leaders. Next new episode is coming out on Monday, so keep those feeds refreshed. Make sure you're telling people to subscribe and get back on it. The episodes are starting up week to week again. So we're back to the old format, week to week, starting Monday. This has been an amazing time, and I think we have more amazing stuff happening, and can't wait to see what's going to happen.
So thank you all for listening, and until next time, take it easy.